I'd like to welcome everybody to the Town Council meeting, Monday, December 18th, 2023, 7 p.m., McKinnon Council Chamber. I'd like to agenda item number 1, Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Councilor Adams.
Excused at this point.
Councilor Chenier.
Present.
Councilor Daniel.
Present.
Councilor Dow.
Absent.
Councilor Lazo.
Present.
Councilor Marchetti is here. Councilor Montigny.
Present.
Councilor Ortiz.
Present.
Councilor Rivas.
Present.
Okay, we have a quorum.
We have a quorum. Before I move on to agenda item number 3, I would just like to take a moment to recognize Gordon Montigny's passing, the father of Councilor Michael Montigny. Lived his whole life in Southbridge, fine gentleman, father, just a tremendous guy. He passed on yesterday, and I'd like to take a moment of silence. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Sorry for your loss. Moving on to agenda item number 3, consider and accept Town Council meeting minutes, Monday, December 4th, 2023.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Motion by Daniels, seconded by Montigny. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions to the minutes of those meetings? Not all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 4 subcommittees. Department of Public Works. No report at this time. Councilor Adams is not here. Moving on to Education and Human Services. Councilor Rivas.
No report today, and we don't have a meeting scheduled just yet. Thank you.
Moving on to General Government. Councilor Montigny.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had a meeting last week, and there will be some items towards the end of the meeting, I believe, that I can speak on. Thank you.
Moving on to Planning and Development. Councilor Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, there's no report this evening. Thank you.
Moving on to Protections of Personal Property. Councilor Chenier.
Mr. Chairman, we had a meeting on December 13th, and we have some items that were favorably recommended by the subcommittee. And no meeting scheduled.
Thank you very much. Moving on to Chairman's announcements. I would just like to wish everybody a happy holidays in the upcoming weeks. The new year is right around the corner, and I want to continue to say let's keep up the hard work. Got some great department heads, great employees, and the council seems to be poised for 2024. So moving forward, enjoy Christmas, and thank God it wasn't snow today. One other issue, I'd just like to thank the town services today for all the public safety that took care of so many different problems they're still dealing with. We do not have 100% power back, but it has come back in so many parts of town. Moving on to Town Manager's report. Mr. Town Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, just an update. At the last council meeting, the council voted to set the local tax rate. That rate was approved by the Division of Local Services on Friday with the rate of $15.26. Therefore, the tax bills will be prepared and will be sent out shortly. Reminded that there's a CDBG public hearing Thursday evening, 12/21/23 at 6 p.m. It's the public hearing for the CDBG fiscal year 24 grant application. Anybody that wishes to come to be heard on that, please do so. Just to the councilors, I know there's a couple items that kind of were changed on different subcommittees and items that we had talked to the chairman of the subcommittee not to come directly to committee tonight. I apologize for any confusion with that. Really is not our intent to subvert any oversight. It's just that there's a couple of these things were time sensitive, and it will be the exception, not the rule on that. Just an update. Over the last several weeks, if everybody is aware, approximately a year ago now, at 11 West Street, which is the maintenance department for the school, there was an issue with the wall to the individual that owns the gas station there that affected some of our property. And then with the construction of West Street, we've had some concerns about the ability for the school maintenance facilities employees to have parking there, and our trucks are parked out in the elements. And there's been conversation over many years, I think going back to my days on school committee with Councilor Lazo, that we've talked about possibly moving the school maintenance department over to the DPW building. Well, with that in mind, conversations that the DPW director, Rich Benoit, had with the maintenance department, that has escalated to a conversation with Dr. Val last Thursday, and then he immediately set up a meeting on Friday to tour the building, and therefore we will be working on a memorandum of agreement on moving the school facilities department to the DPW, and that will be coming up to the council in the new year. And finally, like Councilor Lazo said, wishing everybody a happy and healthy new year. It has been quite the end of the year as we move over the past 4 months, but we really do have great departments, department heads, employees, and that is on display, as Council allows us today, with the fire, police, DPW, all out in the elements, all working together to make sure that services were restored in a timely manner. We had a major power outage in the town that affected Southbridge, Sturbridge, the hospital. I know I talked to Chief Normandy, and we'll be following up with National Grid on some of their protocols for today, because there were some things that we're not happy with, but we'll follow up with them. But ultimately, we survived, we move on, and wish everybody a happy and healthy new year. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Moving on to agenda item number 7, Citizens Forum. Are there any citizens that would like to speak to the council on any issue not on tonight's agenda?
I'd like to, Gil Provo, 133 Dennison Hill Road. I'd like to wish the entire town of Southbridge a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I'd like to wish Councilor Ortiz happy birthday today.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
At this time, I'd like it a record to note that Joe Dow has arrived. Welcome, Joseph.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Hi, Maureen Doyle, 771 Lebanon Hill. This is a repeat of what Gil said. Thank you all for your hard work throughout the year, and I guess happy birthday, Ariel.
Thank you.
So happy New Year, happy solstice. The light will be coming back, and the days will be getting longer. Yay. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to address the council?
Thank you, Council. Kevin Buxton, 149 Everett Street. In hearing the comments about the building that's presently used by the school committee, the Globe Firehouse, I certainly hope that we can find a functional use for that building, because it is a character in the Globe area, and it's been well maintained by the town all this year, similar to our old fire station. I hope we can find something to do with it. I'm coming before you. I came 2 weeks ago at the tax clarification. I checked the meeting. It received 132 views on YouTube. I'm just here to say 2 weeks have gone by. There's another 50 weeks before your next tax classification. Like I said, what drove me to come up and speak last time was not that I was going to be able to change anybody's mind. It was the fact that I have heard this year after year after year. Every classification, geez, we really need to do something. Our residential tax rate is hurting single-family homeowners. I'm not going to go into it. There's 50 weeks left. I just hope we keep open mind as to finding some way to generate enough revenue to actually achieve what you're looking for, to lower that residential tax rate. I'd like to wish everybody happy holidays, and thank you for your time and efforts.
Thank you. Are there any other citizens that would like to address the council? If not, moving on to presentations. Agenda item A, municipal electric aggregation plan update. Draft plan, public comment period. Town Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, it was asked a few meetings ago about the municipal electric aggregation plan and where we stood on that program, and I did follow up as requested and did speak to the individuals that are doing that for us, and there was had a great conversation with them. And with that, we have Rachel Ferdinand here tonight to discuss the status of what the draft plan would look like, and there were some updates with DPU, I believe, and she'll go through them, and Rachel is here to give that information, and then from there we would open a public comment period, but I'll let her explain that to us.
Okay. Southbridge would select a supplier that would be different from National Grid, who does currently do both supply and delivery for you guys. Delivery will always be National Grid, and so in the case of today, where you get like downed wires and power outages, it would still be National Grid who would be servicing all of those issues. And then for the actual customers, there would be no change in how they're receiving their supply. There would be no change in the billing. The only thing that would change is the actual name of the supplier on your bill. And so right now, you guys are actually part of 7 communities that we are in the planning stage. We do already have 52 active programs, and we're going to have a couple more actually starting soon that we just got approval from the DPU from. But we do have over 50 active programs in Massachusetts right now, so we have a pretty great track record with getting these programs up and going and keeping them running. And that is managed by myself and my colleagues, so there's 7 of us. I would be your main contact, but right now you'd be mostly working with 2 of my colleagues, who I'm sure John has been speaking with a lot in this actual planning stage. So again, you guys in January authorized the development of this kind of plan at a town meeting, and you guys selected us as your consultant. And working with you guys, we've been developing your plan, getting everything in there, working on what you guys are focused on. So that was happening over the summer and fall. And now we're at the point where the plan is in a stage where we can start to present it to the public and receive feedback as we get into actually presenting this to the DPU. And so we'll go over some of the plan details right now. So the goals of this program are to use the purchase power of all the customers in Southbridge to secure more competitive rates, so better pricing and better terms and conditions for customers in the community. And part of what we are able to do with that is to support clean energy, and specifically local clean energy, by negotiating a higher level of renewable energy in the default product. And so in doing that, we do have the ability to expand choices for customers. And the way our programs are set up, you will have a choice of some more renewable. You can have a choice of hopefully a better pricing, or usually we have an option that really helps split those two while still remaining competitive with the National Grid option. And so the way the program will work is it will be Southbridge's program. It's not our program, Good Energy. We just help you run the program. So day-to-day operations, customer complaints, those things can come through us. We're always here to help. But It is Southbridge's program. Everything that happens with the program is decided by you guys. We're not making any unilateral decisions on your behalf. But if you're out looking for any reporting on numbers, if you're trying to work with the suppliers, we're always there. We'll be the ones who do really that heavy labor. So this is how the program rollout will go once we eventually get there. There is an extensive education portion of the actual rollout of the program. So once we go through the process of actually choosing a supplier and securing some rates, we get out notices to everybody in the community about the program when it's starting, and there is a 30-day opt-out period for everybody to choose whether or not they actually want to be in this program. And so if somebody chooses that they don't want to be in the program, we have mailers that go out with a little postcard. They can send that back. It's already prepaid. It's got the right addresses on it. They can send that back in, and they'll see no change. They'll remain on National Grid basic service. So everybody in the community is able to enroll in the program. And the way that it works is that anyone who is on National Grid basic service will automatically be in the program. But if you have a third-party supplier, you don't automatically get into the program because those contracts are a little bit different. But as soon as the contract ends, if you want to join the program, you can join. Anybody who moves into the town can join at any time. You can also leave at any time, and both of those would happen with no penalty at all. And so, again, National Grid is going to continue handling billing. There'll be no change if you receive a low-income discount. Your discount will apply exactly the same to the bill. If you're taking advantage of any community solar programs, those work very well with the kinds of programs that we have. You'll still get the rebate that you usually get with those programs. Really, again, the only thing that will change is the actual supply rate and the name of the supplier on your bill. And so these are the options that we've developed into your plan based on the needs of the community. So the standard product is going to include a little bit more renewable energy than what is required by Massachusetts. So right now, the standard is 59%. So if you guys wanted to add 10 more percent, you'd have 69% renewable energy in your standard product. And so just that, adding 10% across the whole community is really a great boost to renewable energy. And the extra renewables that we do add are Mass Class 1. So they are all local renewable energy, which is really great, obviously, for trying to meet some of the climate goals set by the state. And I'm not sure if you guys have your own climate goals, but it's a really great way to help meet that as well. Additionally, we always offer a basic product. So if you're not super interested in adding any additional renewables, if you're more so looking for savings, that's a great option. So that won't add any extra renewables, which means that it is typically a bit cheaper. And that's obviously great for people who are looking to get some savings and secure a better price for their supply. For people who are looking to maybe add even more renewables, we have a plus product, and how that product works is you can opt up and we add extra renewables so that your total energy usage is coming from all renewables. So that's a great option for people who want to add more renewables into their electricity supply. And it is typically a little bit cheaper than if you were going out to bid on your own. That's one of the great things about these programs. Because we have everybody in the community to bid with, it gives you a lot more of a competitive rate. But most people do end up in the standard product because that is what automatically you get enrolled in. So what comes next? We're hoping that you guys will opt to open up a public review, and that'll be a 30-day period so we can receive feedback, get comments, sort of just get it out to the community so that everybody can take a look at it and get their 2 cents in. And then after that, typically what we recommend is doing a vote right then and there at your next town council meeting, depending on how it lines up. But then deciding if you want to move forward with the plan, if you want to amend the plan. But we typically recommend doing that right after the 30-day public review period. Once that's through, Then we'll meet with the DOER, which is another regulatory agency, to sort of do a consultation meeting. They'll give us some feedback on the plan, let us know what they think is right in it. If they have any opinions on what could be changed, they'll let us know. And then at that point, you guys can change it, you can approve it. And at that point is when we actually get to go before the DPU. And once we submit it to the DPU, you can, it is a little bit of a wait. The DPU is working on some guidelines to hopefully make the process a little sooner, happen a little bit more quickly. What they're looking at right now is instituting a 120-day review period. So depending on how some of the legislation at the State House goes, you'll look at, 6 or so months after actually submitting to the DPU for getting the program approved. Once the program is approved, that's when we can go out to bid and choose a supplier. Once you choose a supplier, that's when you start to get into that 30-day education period where we actually have the numbers as to like what each option is going to cost and what it's going to look like once it's up and running. And at that point, then the program will launch. But we're still at step 2 at this point.
Are there any questions by council?
Mr. Chairman?
Councilor Shinyo?
Yes, thank you for the presentation. A couple questions. With the National Grid, there's a Mass Save program. Is that still going to stay into the electric bill for the people to utilize?
Yep, that stays exactly the same.
Okay. The commercial rates, the industrial rate, and the residential rate. Does the commercial and industrial rate have the option to be part of this program, or is it just residential?
They do have the option to be part of the program, and it is the same price that we'll offer for commercial and industrial customers. But with the supplier, what does typically happen is they have the option of giving usually industrial customers something that's closer to market price, especially if they're joining after the program starts, which happens with some industrial customers because they have their own longer-term contracts. But just because of the amount of load that an industrial account can carry, the supplier does reserve the right to offer a market rate to them. But so far as like commercial accounts go, those will get the same rates as the residential.
And the 3 product options that you talk about, the basic, the standard, and adding the renewable energy to the first and third one doesn't necessarily lower the cost of the electric bill to the customer, correct?
Correct.
There's usually an increase in the cost?
No. So for the 100% option, it is typically, I would say, more expensive than what you'll find with basic service from National Grid. But with the standard product, and we always say we can never guarantee savings just because of the nature of the energy market and how prices change, every 6 months. But we have found across our programs in Massachusetts, with a green standard product, the product that adds extra renewable in that standard product, we do still have a competitive rate against the basic service, and we do, knock on wood, oftentimes come in lower than basic service while still adding that renewable.
So we'll have that option when the time comes to decide which product do we want to go with. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Councilor Marquetti?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. So how long after you submit this to public utilities, how long before this plan is actually implemented?
So it really is kind of up in the air right now with the way that the DPU has been running. They have had some longer wait times over the past few years, but we are finding with the new administration, they're very much willing to work with us. And we did actually just get 2 plans approved yesterday. One was approved conditionally today. So we are seeing those times shorten. And again, like I mentioned, they're looking to institute a 120-day or a 180-day sort of wait time period. So typically, once you submit to the DPU, you'll probably be launching the program, like actually seeing those rates on bills in about a year, give or take.
Okay. And what you are reporting here is that we are automatically enrolled in standard, but basic is actually cheaper, so if we want basic, we have to call
Yep.
Good Energy?
No, so you can contact us and we can always help out, but that will be done actually with the supplier. And once we actually go into the education time when everyone's getting those letters, you can also return the card and choose the basic option on that as well. So everybody will be receiving that in their mailbox too.
And how long is the term for this program?
So that really depends. It's dependent on the market a lot of the times. It can be like a 12-month rate. Occasionally, we secured a few 24-month rates is where the market has been in the past year or so, but it really does change day to day. But anywhere from like 1 to 3 years is typically where the terms fall.
Okay, and then finally, I just want to say that on page 9, quarter 3, I think you have the wrong senior center. We are not the, we are the La Rochelle, we are the community center. We're at the community center, and I think that you have some other senior center on that document.
Okay. In the draft
Ruth-
plan on page 9, you said?
Ruth Ann Bleakley Senior Center, that we don't, that's not our senior center.
Okay.
This may have just been a copy and paste, I'm not sure, but just thought I'd let you know.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
You're
we'll
welcome.
definitely
Thank
look at that.
Any further questions? Councilor Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. Thank you for your presentation tonight. It's nice to hear. I just have one question about third-party suppliers.
Yes.
If I understood you correctly, and I just want to confirm this, if a person is contracted with a third-party supplier, they have to follow the dictates of that contract until the contract basically lets them out of the contract to join
Exactly.
the community
Yeah.
program.
If
Okay.
you've chosen a third-party contractor, you will not automatically be enrolled into program.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilor Rivas.
Thank you for the presentation. It's very detailed. I was impressed by the education and outreach section, and I just wanted to, just if you could go over some of the ways that you'll be educating people or kind of making it accessible to people with limited English proficiency and with disabilities.
Yeah, so of course, you guys know your town best of all. So once we're approaching that education period, we'll really start to engage with you guys, and you can really help us know where we should meet your residents. And so we do a lot of these sorts of presentations at council meetings. We'll hold other sorts of educational meetings at senior centers, at community centers. And if you have a significant non-English speaking community, we would love to engage with them, and we can hire translators as well. We've worked with a few different translators across our programs. But really, it's tough to say exactly how we would engage in Southbridge, but it's something that we really like to be in constant communication with you guys about.
Thank you.
Any further discussion by council? Town manager?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Rachel, for being here this evening. This has been ongoing for quite a long period of time. I would recommend that we do open the public comment period, but we put it on the agenda for January 8th for a formal vote, and we'll open up that 30-day period at that time. That would be my recommendation.
If no further discussion, I thank you very much for being here tonight.
Thank you guys for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Moving on to presentation B, Fire Station Building Project, bid results and next steps. Town manager?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, as the council is aware, that we did go out to bid through the bid process, and Deputy Chief Hulick has taken over as chairman of the Fire Station Building Committee. And I know there's been a lot of discussion, good conversations by a lot of different councilors and community members about what we should do for next steps. Just thought it would be best to have Deputy Chief Hulick just brief the community as well as the council, and as we move forward and to our next steps in this process. It was disappointing, the bid results that we did receive. Wish it would have been better, but we will take the time to reflect on those bids and come up with a action plan as to how to move forward. And I'll now turn it over to Deputy Chief Kulik, if that's okay.
Just for a second, let the record show that Councilor Adams has arrived. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the community and council. I apologize to bring difficult news so close to the holidays with this project. As you're aware, back in 2021, the town did approve a project for a fire station up to $25.7 million. Over these past years, we have moved from multiple locations, looked at different sites and different designs, and most recently went to bid with this project. Before you, you have a document that shows the most recent estimate from the cost estimator, along with the current bids that we received. I'll put that up on the screen. This comes from our budget updates from the Fire Station Building Committee. It is a very large document, and I've tried to hone in on the key pieces to this. So the left side, the hard numbers of this, the estimate for construction was $21,288,198. At that point in time, which was October, we had gotten favorable news that the community of Stoughton had received bids 7% under their construction estimate. And at that time, we also had some solid assurances from our federal legislators that we had a $2.5 million earmark for our project. What has happened in the time since then, the federal earmark has been reduced to $1 million, and it still needs to be passed through the Senate, so it could be reduced again. I did speak with Congressman Neal's staffer prior to our last Fire Station Building Committee meeting, and I did let her know that I was disappointed because the person that we put our project through, project documents and justifications, was no longer with the office and provided us no additional updates. And this woman that I spoke with had let us know that the reduction had come during the potential government shutdown discussions back in September and early October. So it was reduced by $1 million. So in that time frame, late summer into the fall, the bidding process started with pre-qualifications of contractors, first the subcontractors and then the general contractors. The general contractors' bids were due in December, first of this month, and the subcontractors' bids were due in early November. The November bids that we received from the subcontractors were favorable. They were under estimate, and in this December's bid, there were 10 pre-qualified general contractors. We received 2 bids on December 1st. One from a company at $22,536,000, and then a second one for over $25 million. Subsequent to our last Fire Station Building Committee meeting, the project manager spoke with the other companies that did not submit bids. There was one company that said their estimator dropped the ball and didn't get the numbers back in time. The other 7 contractors said that they did not have the resources to commit to the project. So unfortunately, where we stand is that this bid ended up being over $1 million more than the last construction estimate. So unfortunately, ours came in higher than estimate, and then we have also been reduced at least $1.5 million in federal funds. So as we stand at the moment, to hold a 6% contingency, we're $4 million over budget. We were forced to reject the bids because there was nothing that was going to happen in a 30-day period that would change the fact that we would still be that short. There are several things obviously going on that the town manager can explain, and we have some new staff coming on in January that may be able to help us with that. But in the end, we were forced to reject those bids. The second impact of that was we had separated the electrical equipment which included the generator, switchgear, because many projects have been behind because they didn't have the product on hand when it was needed, and we had actually believed that we were going to save money by doing that. Without being able to move forward with the project, we felt that it was not prudent for us to continue with that bid, so we also rescinded that vote. So where we stand right now is the architect has been advised to put out to bid the remediation and demolition of the two other properties on Snow Street because they have become a security and liability risk. They've been broken into multiple times even after they were boarded up. So we need to get those down and get us to a level ground project. In the months moving forward, as you see in the next slide, the remediation and demolition would be the next step. Identifying other funding sources without additional bonding. We believe that there are some folks that have already looked at some of the options for us. Identifying a fundraising committee chairperson. It's going back to when the town manager was the committee chairman. He had spoken to some folks about leading that fundraising committee because no member of the fire station building committee can solicit funds or can operate under those terms. We did research whether or not a member of the fire department could. It has come forward that it can, but we also understand that some of the folks, some of the people that might be contributing to the project would likely be more comfortable dealing with some other folks. So I do have a person that I need to reach out to and have some other options, but as the town has been faced with boards, committees, and other things, there are not a lot of people knocking down the doors to take these roles, so it's a spot that we need to fill. And then the next and final thing would be to put the project back out to bid in late winter or early spring. Where we stand is that by separating the demolition of 17 and 23 Snow Street from the current bid that went out, it is a substantive enough change where we could bid the project basically identical as far as the design of the building. There were not any discussions to make any drastic changes to it. We have already minimized the building from 36,000 square feet to 27,000 square feet. There are no other square footage areas to cut from. We have value engineered this project. We originally looked at a brick project. Now it's only 3.5 feet from the ground. We have insulated steel panels on the higher sides. The bathrooms are not tiled. They are epoxied, many of those things. There are no other places to cut from. The only thing that went above what we had initially discussed or above the baseline budget was the mechanical and HVAC systems, because based on the presentation, the system that we chose would not only pay for the increase, but also save additional funds because of the efficiency and provide a better environment within the building. Just as a final update, as of the last meeting with the bills that were paid, we have expended $4,709,179.66. And I'd open it up to any questions that you might have.
Council Marquetti?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. I was also at that meeting, and although it was disappointing over the weekend after the meeting, I did sit down and take a look at it and see, well, where can we come up with some funds so we can fund that $4 million so it won't be a hit to the taxpayers. And I did sit down with the town manager and the council chair. I looked at least 6 fundings that we can take a look at. We've always talked about closing out our capital projects. Now would be a perfect opportunity to take a look at those. There's the landfill royalty funds, stabilization, capital stabilization, free cash, and there's also ARPA. And I know that the ARPA committee, last week we voted to reserve $100,000 towards the fire station, so that's a good start. I think the council, if we could sit down, and I've asked that if we could have a council of the whole or a special meeting so we could sit down, discuss it, review with department heads to see where we can get some of these funds from. Do they need all the funds for these projects? Have they been completed? Are they on hold? Could we delay them? I think we could come up with the $4 million with the available funds that we have right now. I think time is of the essence. I heard your consultant say if we wait for another bid next spring, chances are it's going to be even higher. So at this point, I think that we should have a meeting, get this funding and get this fire station behind us, because if it goes any higher, then we are really going to be in trouble on that fire station. I know a lot of councilors have said in the past, doing nothing is not an option, so I think that we should do something and not wait till next spring. So thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Any other questions by any other councilors?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilor Senior?
I did go to that meeting late. The meeting actually ended when I showed up. I think the most important thing coming out of the meeting that was, from the disappointment of the bid, was the fact that the building committee and the town manager basically agreed that before we move forward, that we know basically what we're talking about as far as the amount of money that we have available. As we know, we still haven't closed out the books for 23, and we still haven't got a full accounting of stabilization, capital money, free cash, those kind of things. So I think most importantly is that we have to give the town manager and the building committee the ability to be able to research and find these funds, then come back to council as Councilor Marchetti has suggested. The other thing that I found disheartening was soon after hearing the news of this project being $4 million over, I emailed Congressman Nail and told him my disappointment of the fact that the recent money that we thought we were going to have was removed from the budget, and that they weren't even sure that the $1 million was going to be appropriated through the appropriation process that the federal government has. It's been over a week now, and I still haven't heard a response from Congressman Nail. I find that our elected officials, both on the state level and on the federal level, have let this community down in not coming up with the funds and the sources. We've gotten a few dollars from the state, but I think our federal people and our state legislators could work it harder to assist this community. We're not a rich community, and we're trying to move forward to get a state-of-the-art fire department that have cut and removed portions of this building to bring forward a basic bare minimum budget for the building. Again, I just cannot stress the disappointment that I have in both state and federal legislators, and hopefully soon we'll have a new representative to bring forward these projects that help the community. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other councilors like to speak? Town manager?
Thank you. Through you. I agree with everything Councilor Marchetti had said. And we've always said doing nothing is not an option, and failure is not going to be an option. The one thing I did stress at the fire station building committee was that as a community we can't do anything with knee-jerk reactions. There's talk by the architects, well, major redesign and all that. Let's take a deep breath, take a step back, and if anybody knows me, knows that I want this fire station built, and I'm not going to wait a year to build it. To that point, all the accounts that have been mentioned are great to look at, and I will gladly have if the council so chooses to have a council meeting on the whole, but I would just ask, let me get my finance team in place in the next, by mid-January, we should all be in place. We'll be able to have good conversations about how we move forward, because any decision that we make, we also have to look out for what is the overall goals for the town. If there are many capital projects that are sitting there, but we also have to look at some were sewer or water capital. So what are those dollars? Where were they borrowed from? That was one of the conversations that I had with Lori, who we had hired to help out with the closeout. We have to be careful what funds allocated that and where they have to go back to. Free cash is not even close to being certified, so we can't even talk about that as a funding source at this point. And we have to remember that we have to fund a portion of the curbside enterprise fund when that opens up. And anything that we pull out of those reserve accounts that we have will also affect our bond rating when we go out to borrow for this project. So we have to be strategic in how we fund the remaining $4 million. And everything is on the table, and it will not be a slow walk to get it to council. But I just want you to know that we are continuing to pound the pavement. Immediately, Peg Dean reached out to several different individuals. The chief reached out to Ann Goby with the rural department the next day. And we have some lines on some possible, maybe shorter money, but any dollars that we get will help. And we're working on that. So I'll have more to update on the January 8th meeting, but we will keep this on the fast track and get this done. It's disappointing that was only two bids, and it was confusing as to why there was a disconnect between the filed sub bids that came in $500,000 under, and then the general bids. It just is not correlated. But I'm not in the business right now, so I'll just leave it at that, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Any other discussion by council? Thank you very much, Deputy Chief.
Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item number 9, vote to approve the town manager's appointment as recommended by the DPW Director, Richard Curvo, as mechanic assistant, effective immediately, pending successful completion of state ethics.
So moved.
Motion by Shania, seconded by Adams. Discussion. Town Manager.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. The next two items are Department of Public Works items. I appreciate the fact that we could come directly to council with those. As everybody is aware, and I keep saying, we're very short-staffed over there. This candidate came forward, and we're bringing it to directly to council. And DPW Director is here for any questions if you have them.
Council's discussion.
Richard is here as well. He's right there.
Any discussion? Questions? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Congratulations. Would you like to address the council? That's an option.
And I believe he's ready to start tomorrow. Is that correct?
I just want to say thanks, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, and thanks for the good opportunities.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to number 10. Vote to approve the town manager's appointment of recommended by the DPW Director of Greg Nicola, Ray Cowett Jr., and David Daly as temporary snowplow operators pending successful completion of state ethics.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Shinya, seconded by Montigny. Discussion.
Mr. Chairman, if you may, through you, Gregory Nicola had been employed with the town just until recently and moved over to Veolia, so he is an employee, he has been an employee of the town, so we have all his background information. Ray Cowett and David Daly have plowed on a regular basis as temporary snowplow operators, and we're just requesting that they be allowed to continue in that operation.
Any questions? Councilor Adams?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. Just to clarify, this will be our vehicles, correct? That they'll be using? Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
Any other questions? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 11, vote to confirm the town manager's appointment of Marcelino Guerrero to the WRTA Advisory Board, Disabled Commuter Population Position, effective January 1, 2024, and ending December 30th, 2024. Appointment pending successful completion of state ethics.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Shania, seconded by Ortiz. Councilor?
Thank you. At general government, it was recommended unanimously to council. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Not all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Number 12, vote to approve Sharon Morissette as Town Council Recording Clerk pending successful completion of state ethics.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Ortiz, seconded by Shinya. Discussion. Council Adams?
No, I was pleasantly surprised when Sharon told me the other day, so I look forward to working with her. Thank you.
Town Manager?
Thank you. Through you, we had posted this position to replace Sue that had left. Sue was gracious enough to extend it a month. We had extended an offer. The chairman and Nor, our Human Resources Director, had interviewed a couple candidates. We had extended an offer to an individual. That individual then ended up ghosting Nor and not returning phone calls and emails. And last week, when that came forward, Sue is actually here returning her materials, and everybody pretty much knows Sharon when we go have lunch or breakfast next door. And Sharon had communicated to me in conversations about any opportunities that we may have here at the town hall. And she had experience as a secretary and legal offices and the like, and she was looking to perhaps assist us in any way. And when I found out from Nor that this individual had ghosted us, I said, give me a second, and I walked next door to Elm Center, and I had a conversation with, first I had a conversation with the chair and said, would that be all right? And then went over to ask Sharon, and she was more than happy to come forward and met with Nor. They did an interview, and everything has progressed quickly, and that's why it is here today. So if confirmed this evening, she will actually have her first test as to prepare the minutes for the next meeting. So that's my recommendation favorably.
Any further discussion? Councilor Dow?
Thank you, Chair, to you. I thought you were going to be sitting there tonight. Fix it.
Any other discussion? Just a quick comment. In dealing with Nor, she does a fantastic job at HR. It was a little frustrating, but what we're finding is it's a lot easier to hire somebody that wants to be here, that wants to be part of a turnaround or a success story. And I think Sharon is just a person. Instead of chasing people, when someone's chasing you to come in and to help, qualified. I wish we would have had I agreed with one of the councils, I would have liked to seen some sort of resume, but in looking at the person and knowing who she is, knowing her qualifications, I thought it was more important to fill the position and not leave it vacant as the previous person moved on. So she's in front of us. It's an opportunity. She wants to be here, and I'm looking forward to it. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to third, congratulations. Would you like to make a speech? Okay. Thank you. Moving on to 13, vote to enter into a contract with SHI International Corp. Until June 30th, 2025 for up to $143,360 to provide electronic permitting software and allow the IT director to purchase technology using the Community Campus IT grant. Accepted December 19th, 2022, and allow the town manager to sign all related documents.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ortiz and seconded by Shenya. Mr. Town Manager? I'm sorry, go
Oh,
ahead.
that's all right. Just a general government, after a lengthy discussion with the town manager and his XO, it was unanimous of all present, recommended to council.
Thank you, Council Montague. Mr. Town Manager?
Thank you. I'll just entertain any questions, but I just want to thank first Peg Dean for applying for the Community Compact IT grant for this permanent software. When Matt came aboard as my executive assistant, as you're aware, we have a lot of grants, a lot of moving parts, and I asked him to take the lead in this endeavor, and he did a great job. We interviewed multiple different companies to see what their software would provide, and then requested quotes from them, and we decided to go with OpenGov. This would allow all the departments, well, majority of the departments to do online permitting, such as the building department, town clerk's office can do dog licenses. It's something that I know 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when I first got on council, going to MMA conference, we had looked at software 6 years ago, thought this would be great to bring to the town. I know that this has been on the mind of a lot of councilors, and this would be the implementation cost and first-year cost, as well as the cost for next fiscal year. So we would have 18 months of product, and then we would build it into the budget to move it forward. This, if anybody wants to look, Town of Dudley uses OpenGov software, so we'll model a lot of our web page off of those type of permits, but we can customize it to our needs as well. So I'll entertain any questions if anybody has.
Councilman Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, I did attend the meeting and I did vote in favor of this. Some of the information that was provided to us at the meeting. So I wanted to take a look at it over the weekend. And some of the issues that I have, I mean, I realize that this is the wave of the future. It's the way most towns are going with it. But just some of the costs didn't make sense to me. Implementation is covered by the grant. Subscription fee is covered by the grant, $67,777. We're paying for January through June 2025, and then technology 5445 is covered by the grant. But that, if you add that up, that comes to $142,808, and which is $551 below what the grant is. Now it's up to $143,360. I get that, but it's still below. So are we going to get the entire amount? And then what are we going to do with that extra $500? That's one of the questions. The second year of subscription is $47,443, not covered by the grant. So we're paying for January through June to July 1st for a subscription, an extra $20,000, that we're not even going to be able to use this program until July 1st, the way I'm reading this. Then the memo that was provided in the packet, well, the subscription fee is $67,000. You look like you didn't understand.
Yeah, I was just trying to follow.
The subscription fee is $67,777. The second year we have to pay $47,443, which is $20,000 less than what we're paying this year for a subscription fee. So we're paying for 6 months of subscription fee for something that we're not even going to be able to use. That's the way I'm looking at this. Correct? Well, I'll let you take a look at that. Then the memo that was provided, completely different numbers. $92,000 for implementation, $45,000 for subscription. Same thing for technology, and that comes to $143,000, which is $360 under what the grant total is. In addition, in our packet, we have a quote from SHI, $179,253. And then we have a quote from somebody called Zones for $196,567, and then from someone called Entree for $5,702. So the numbers aren't the same. When you look at each, the memo, what's in the packet, and what the quotes are, the numbers just don't add up. So those are some of my questions. On top of that, we implement this, it's going to be a 3% fee. For someone to use it online, it's going to be a 3% fee, and I think that they're going to more than likely use it online, pay it online, and pay that fee and pass it on to the customer. I just want residents to realize that the cost of this, implementing this, I know it's the wave of the future, but also I just had questions about why the changing numbers in all this paperwork. Thank you.
Town Manager.
So, I think I've said this at another meeting. If councilors have questions, call my office during the day so I could have a prepared answer, as opposed to being here at council going, okay, I'm trying to track what you're saying. I know these same questions came out at subcommittee, and Matt had explained them as to the different parts of the costing, I believe the $5,000 is for technology, because we said that we were going to purchase some laptops for the inspectors that they
Right.
would have out in the field, that there would be workstations within 3 officers that they could go to, that an individual wants to come into the town hall and be able to apply because they don't want to do it from their house, or they don't have a computer, or the technology limited, that they would be able to come into the town hall and our staff would work them through that. And I think from Matt's conversation, there was about $5 that was left with that. In regards to the 2 different, in the PowerPoint, it was the implementation to the town would occur between January 1st and July 1st of 2023 at a cost of $69,000, which would set up the software and the creation of 14 permits and training. Those 14 permits would allow us to be able to, we would be able to use some of the permits that other towns use, that we can combine and just simply not have to create on our own, and that we would be able to uniquely do 14 permits that we could create within our departments that were specialized. The software subscription fee would go from January 1st to June 30th, 2025, so an 18-month period. The software subscription fee, so that would be 18 months, which would be $67,000. So at some point that it would depend on when we actually go live. So I think they estimated the cost as to when the software would actually go live during that 18-month period. And then software subscription fee, which we would have to pay on an annual basis, would be $47,000 going forward each fiscal year. That would be what we would have to build into different departments. We had conversations about building in either looking at fee schedules that we have within the building department or permitting, and see what other towns are charging for fees to make sure that we're consistent with other towns. And I think I said it very clearly at that meeting. I don't want to be fee heavy and fee people to death, but let's be consistent with what other towns is. I think that's a fair way to do that. The 3% charge was if somebody paid by credit card, then there would be a 3% charge through the system. However, it was made very clear at the meeting that if an individual didn't want to pay that 3% fee, they would apply for their permit and would simply come into our office and be able to give them a check. So those were the questions. Whether he has the math right or not, I will have to work with Matt. Didn't realize there were going to be detailed questions on the math. Otherwise, I would have asked Matt to be here this evening. He was planning on being here, but then when the town hall closed because of the weather event, I opted not to have him come in. So it was very detailed presentations. And I'll gladly get you any other answers that I possibly can, but I believe they said that they would make sure that we used all the money that we possibly could within the compact grant, within what the state allows us to. This is a state grant. They tell us what we can and cannot use, just like the Muni Fiber grant that we went out for, that we were allowed $50,000. It was only $35,000, and Peg tried to get them to allow us to do the build out, and the state said no. So we are making sure that we are fiscally responsible with these grants. When it comes to how do we pay for it later on, I had a conversation with a different purveyor about our water sewer billing processes, and one of the things she said is it's very difficult to quantify some savings when it comes to efficiency. The efficiency that this builds into your staff. The efficiency that our department heads, our inspectors will be able to use the iPads that we'll purchase on the hardware to be out in the field, to be able to talk to the plumbing inspector, the electrical inspector, the building inspector. I think Council Lazo and I had a conversation where a building commissioner said that he can service multiple different towns because of the technology. So I'll gladly look at any other numbers, but this was our recommendation.
Just on a quick point of information, I went for construction upgrades for my construction supervisor's license. You go in front of the state, you take the class. All the communities out towards Pittsfield have streamlined into computers where in business time is money. And I think even in our own town hall, time is money. How long do you want to spend on a permit? How much time when you can just shoot it in, it comes out, it streamlines the whole process. But there are questions, now's the time to ask them while we're trying to build it out. Councilor Marquetti?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. I did have questions about this. You have to admit today was a really unusual day. A lot of storms, trees down. The town hall was closed, so I really couldn't get in here to ask these questions of you. I'm in favor of, I will vote in favor of this. I just had some questions about the different numbers that were presented in the packet. That's all. But thank you. That's all I have.
Councilor Shinya?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. If I recall, Mr. Manager, it was that during the presentation, Matt explained that the contract wouldn't take effect until the signing of the official document. So it was 2 months away. It would show it on that date and not January 1st. And I could be wrong on that. And also, I think he told us there was going to be no actual town funds, only the grant money expended until July 1 or June 30th of 2026. Am I?
25.
25.
FY
25. I keep saying 26, but 25. So it gave the town the option to look and to see where the funds would come from to pay for the subscription fees and those kind of things. I mean, Matt did a very detailed presentation on at the subcommittee meeting, and I thought everything that the council brought up, that was explained at that meeting, but I could be wrong. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other discussion? Councilor Rivas?
I just have a quick question. I apologize, I wasn't able to make the subcommittee meeting, but just reviewing the information here. So the ongoing subscription after the first year, is it going to be spread out between the departments that are utilizing the software?
That is something that, on the finance department, we're going to talk about, because we're looking at, currently, Munis is currently one line item that we budget out different items, so it could possibly be into an IT line item so that we can manage it properly. So we haven't really worked out that detail yet, but I would imagine that we would figure it out somehow.
And my other question is, and just as you bring up Munis, and I know that there's training built into this, but troubleshooting beyond that first year subscription, are they going to be available? I know that is a common complaint from departments about trying to get someone to answer their questions when they're having trouble with something.
Right. Munis has been a hot topic in our office, not just our community, but every community that I've had conversations with. And this company, when Matt did it was Matt, Peg, Victor that were on these team calls, as well as department heads that were invited into these presentations. So we had an opportunity for every department head to have conversations with when we evaluated this software, which was great. I mean, so there was a lot of feedback, and that is the biggest question that they asked. And OpenGov, the one that we are going for, is known to have very good customer service. We will be looking to come to council on another program because of the issues with Munis, and every one of these they can integrate into the Munis system, so the money, anything that we have for finances can go back and be uploaded to Munis, but they all pride themselves on that they think the word that they have is "we're not Munis," is when we interview them.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? No further discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 14, vote to authorize the fire department to attend Active Act Integrated Response training sponsored by the Massachusetts Office of Grants and Research, funded through the department overtime, and allow the department to apply for regional homeland funding as reimbursement to the overtime account. allow the town manager to sign any and all paperwork associated with the program.
So moved, Mr.
Second.
Chairman.
Motion by Shinya, seconded by Ortiz. Discussion?
This was approved by the PPP Subcommittee unanimously.
Thank you, Counselor. Any questions, discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 15. Vote to confirm the town manager's selection of public safety consultants from Pocasset, Mass. to perform the next fire department's lieutenant's assessment and allow the town manager to sign all associated paperwork.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ortiz, seconded by Shinya. Counselor?
This was brought to the PP Subcommittee and unanimously approved by the committee.
Any discussion at this time? Counselor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. I'll be voting no on this. I certainly think the fire chief and the town manager and HR can certainly hire somebody for this position. I'm just looking for a way to stop spending so much money. Our main focus should be the fire department building, and that's why I'm voting no. Thank you.
Any other discussion by any other councilors? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? 8-1. Moving on to 16, vote to allow the Recreation Department to apply for 2 grants. $50,000 from T-Mobile and $90,000 from Youth Development Foundation to supplement $125,000 allotted through ARPA money, to ARPA funds for lighting at the Little League fields on Henry Street, and allow the town manager to sign all related documents.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ortiz, seconded by Councilor Shinya. Council, any discussion?
This was recommended unanimously at subcommittee.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further questions or discussion? Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. At the meeting, I mentioned that ARPA actually voted to give the recreation $130,000 for this project. The town council did vote in February to give them $130,000. So if you don't need the $130,000, if you only need $125,000, could you please return $5,000 to the ARPA committee, because there are other projects waiting for funding. Thank you.
Rec Director.
Yes, thank you. To answer that question, absolutely. I would love to use the funds, if approved by these grants, would use those first to pay off these ball field lights. So definitely appreciate the ARPA funds, but if there's anything I can give back, absolutely.
Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mike, when would that be? When would you know that, if we could bring that money back into ARPA?
I'm hoping to get these in the springtime. That's the reason why I brought these up so early. So the T-Mobile grant would have to be due by January 2nd, and they said within 60 to 90 days, I believe they would have a response. And I believe 3 months after the input of the other grant, they would have a response for me. So I'd probably say around springtime, I'd have an answer as far as ARPA funds and what I'd need.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Councilor, excuse me, Ms. Town Manager.
The chair of EHS, we exchanged emails. This was the reason why I apologize for not reaching out to you. Was that it was due to January 2nd and come up to the office late. So that's the only reason I felt it better to go to at least to a subcommittee that we could get it on right away. So that is why. But we'll make sure we don't do that on a regular basis.
Yeah, just keeping me in the loop, that's all.
Sorry,
That's
but
all.
my apologies on that.
Thank
Any
you.
other discussion? Thank you very much, by the way.
Thank you.
All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 17, vote to accept the Commonwealth of Massachusetts State 911 Department grant in the amount of $81,097 for reimbursing funds under the State 911 Department FY 2024 Support and Initiative Grant, and allow the town manager to sign all related paperwork.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ortiz, seconded by Chenye.
Mr. Chairman, number 17, 18, and 19 were approved by the subcommittee unanimously, and they all deal with reimbursement from 911 grants.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 18, vote to accept the Commonwealth of Massachusetts State 911 Department grant in the amount of $50,597.52 for reimbursing funds under the State 911 Department FY 2024 training grant and allow the town manager to sign all related paperwork.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ortiz, seconded by Shenya. We already heard unanimous vote of subcommittee in favor. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 19. Vote to accept the Commonwealth of Massachusetts State 911 grant, Department grant in the amount of $6,649.23 for the reimbursement of funds under the State 911 Department FY 2024 Emergency Medical Dispatch Grant, and allow the town manager to sign all related paperwork.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ortiz, seconded by Shenya. We heard the recommendation was unanimous at subcommittee. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous for all present. Moving on to 20. Vote to accept the FY24 Body Worn Camera Grant Program in the amount of $28,305 and allow the town manager to sign all related paperwork.
So moved.
Motion by Shenya, seconded by Ortiz.
Again, this one was brought up to the PPP subcommittee and unanimously voted to approve sending it up.
Unanimous at subcommittee. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 21. Vote to approve the fire department transfer request of $7,850 from account number 001-220-511-000 salaries to account 001-220-53000 specialized services to cover the cost of the Lieutenant's Assessment Center.
So moved.
Motion by Shenya, seconded by Ortiz.
This was approved by the subcommittee to send it up with a favorable result.
Unanimous vote at subcommittee. Mr. Marquetti?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. And I'm voting no on this one for the same reason. I think that the funds, we need to take a look at holding off on spending, and this is something that I think could easily be done by the fire chief, the town manager, and HR. Thank you.
Mr. Town Manager?
Just for the public, it certainly could be done by the three of us. However, it was agreed upon process that was voted on by council several years ago. I'll just leave it at that. It's a process that we have in place, voted on by council.
And to add to that, there was issues during the process. That's why they created this process. And I do agree, I'd rather not spend the money on it, but it's the best thing going right now. Any further discussion? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As we all know, this council is not bound by something that was done by a previous council. There's nothing in the fire department union contract that calls for this type of expenditure. So I just think that it could easily be done in-house by the people we are paying a lot of money to do this work. So thank you.
Councilor Dow.
Thank you, Chair, through you. I think that will avoid the kind of local political a little bit and kind of pick up and choose who's closer, who's far. That's why I think we're looking for an outside party to decide something like this. Thank you.
Any further discussion by any other councils? Not all those in favor? Opposed? 8-1. Favorable. Moving on to 22, vote to approve the fire department transfer of $3,119 from account 001-220-519300 tuition to account 001-220-53000 specialized services to cover the costs of monthly air card fees and to cover the unexpected cost of hiring an outside emergency medical service education agency for a specialized emergency medical service education program.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Shania, seconded by Ortiz. Let's go to subcommittee, no?
Oh, it was a favorable report from PPP Subcommittee moving forward.
Unanimous at subcommittee. Any discussion? Not all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 23, vote to accept the economic development and planning transfer request of $41,600 from account 0011-75511-000 town planner salary to account 001-175-530000 specialized services to continue services for the interim town planner.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Shania, seconded by Ortiz.
Mr. Chairman, this was recommended unanimously at subcommittee.
Unanimous at subcommittee. Any further discussion? Questions? Council Rivas.
Just a quick question. Do we have an update on how long this interim position will be? Do we have an update on like posting or recruitment?
Job has been posted. We have not received any applicants. We're fortunate that we did have to go to Central Mass Planning at the request of Pioneer Valley Planning Commission to see if they had any capacity. Central Mass, who we're under, does not. So they've agreed to allow us to continue. We're fortunate to have Ken here in that role. He's been very valuable because of his prior work here and his knowledge. And we'll see if we, through the budget, if we can recruit him, possibly. We'll see if we can do that.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 24, vote to approve an assessor department transfer request of $500 from account 0011-41-511000 full-time salaries to account 0011-41-57-1100 conferences and meetings to provide training to the department.
So moved.
Motion by Ortiz, seconded by Shinya. Discussion.
Mr. Chairman, this
Counselor.
was recommended at subcommittee unanimously.
Unanimous from general government. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 25, vote to approve a Human Resources Department transfer request of $300 from account 001152-571-000 mileage to account 0011-52-54-2000 supplies to cover necessary purchases used in the update of the human resources information.
So moved.
Motion by Shinya, seconded by Ortiz.
Mr. Chairman, this was recommended unanimously at subcommittee.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 26. Vote to approve a Human Resources Department transfer of $69 from account 0011-52-57-1000 mileage to account 0011-52-57-300 dues to cover dues to the Society of Human Resources Management.
So moved.
Motion by Shinya, seconded by Ortiz. Council.
This was also recommended unanimously at subcommittee.
Unanimous? At subcommittee, any discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Number 27, vote to accept the town manager's proposed policy procedure on the disposition of the surplus items.
So moved.
Motion by Shinya, seconded by Ortiz.
Mr. Chairman, we had a couple just tidy ups, and it was recommended unanimously by subcommittee.
Any discussion? Councilor Jovan.
Town Manager Jovan? Yes.
Again. Sorry, having a flashback.
I did clean up a couple items that we had, and especially it was a conversation in item D on the third page. The items may be junk, scrapped, or disposed of at department head's discretion upon approval of the town manager. That was something that wanted to be cleaned up at the meeting, so I did get that. And I think I did include the one page that was the former inventory, just policy, and this was as a result of the procurement training that I underwent that says that we should have a written procedure. So it's just a procedure for us to follow.
Any discussion or questions? Not all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 28, vote to accept the town manager's recommendation to declare as surplus from the Jacob Edwards Library 21 tower personal computers and auxiliary equipment, a computer scanner and electric items left over from construction and dispose of as per policy.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ortiz, seconded by Shinya. Discussion.
This was recommended unanimously at subcommittee.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Number 29, vote to accept the town manager's recommendation to declare surplus from the health department 6 cell phones and dispose of as per policy.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Shinya, seconded by Ortiz. Council?
This was recommended unanimously at subcommittee.
Any further discussion? Council Rivas?
I just noticed, I want to say I appreciate that some of the cell phones are going to New Hope. That's a great repurposing of the phones to provide assistance to our residents who have domestic violence concerns. So I appreciate that that was in there. Thank you.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 30, vote to accept the proposal from Guardian Angel Management, Energy and Management Solutions to complete weatherization improvements to the attic space of the 1966 edition of the Jacob Edwards Library in the amount of $40,494, with the town of Southbridge then receiving an incentive back in the amount of $22,620. Total project cost at completion of the town of Southbridge would be $17,874. Initial commitment of funds of $40,494 to be funded through capital stabilization account. Allow the town manager to sign any and all related documents for the project.
So moved.
Motion by Shinya, seconded by Ortiz. Discussion. Council, town manager, then I'll go to the council.
Thank you. The reason this was on the agenda was because it was time sensitive that we had to, and my apologies for not getting this to a subcommittee. It kind of got lost in the shuffle with a bunch of moving parts. We had weatherization audits being conducted on several buildings by Guardian Energy Management Solution. This project was one of the projects that they recommended for the 1966 edition to take care of the insulation materials that are there and replace them, which would then result in a cost savings of through gas, the use of gas, by upgrading the weatherization. There was another project that they had proposed to replace some very old dampers. However, that was not part of the incentive, and we'll take a look at that as we move forward with the regular capital. I struggled on whether to put this on or not, and had conversations back and forth with Peg, who had been heading up the weatherization audits along with Rich and others. And the question was, hey, could we do this? Do we have to do this now? And the answer was no, we don't have to do this now. However, to get the best incentives that we will be able to realize, we should do it now. So I decided to put this on here for conversation, just to say this is an opportunity that we have. Town certainly can say no, and then try to go through green fund, green communities, or we could see for alternate funds. We could certainly wait. And however, again, for the best incentive, it was best if we did this now. And the reason the wording on that agenda item says commitment, this project will not be completed until later in next year. So as long as we have that, we are committing funds to it. If throughout the fiscal year, we either realize we have some money at the end of the year in different accounts that we could transfer from, or free cash, or other funded mechanisms, we certainly could do that. This was just for us to say, yes, we are committed to the project. We have earmarked money for it. I leave it up to the council to give direction as to where you would like me to go with that.
Council Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. So this is a capital request, and on last spring, when Margaret came forward with her presentation for what she wanted for her capital items, her boiler was priority number 1. Her paving the parking lot was priority number 2. She did not request an attic project at that time. We did review library capital project funds that have been sitting dormant for several years. She has $85,400 in the library improvement fund, $281 in heating repair, and $90,000 in library gutter project from 2019, for a total of $175,681 that are dormant in the Jacob Edwards Library capital funds. So I think that we should hold on this and take a look once we dust off the capital projects and see what funds that we have available. Maybe we could use some of that. I don't think it's really good planning when we leapfrog the capital process to put something forward when it should be put forward in the spring when we're doing the budget. I'm just trying to look for a way to hold off on spending, and certainly it was just last month we were looking at Mass Save, and I think I wouldn't have any problem with calling up Mass Save and have them do an audit of the library and see if we can get any savings with that. So with that, I'm voting no. Thank you.
Town Manager.
Just in response to that, this audit came through within the last 3 months that was spearheaded. We used to have a different energy audit company, and then we had Guardian when they started doing the light projects. So this is no reflection of Margaret at all, because Margaret didn't anticipate this in any capital plan. This was as a result of our departments doing an audit of the building to say, where could we realize some energy efficiency? So this was not something she asked for. This was not something that she anticipated. It was certainly just because of the audit. In regards, I spent 2 hours with Margaret several weeks ago to go through everything library related. She provided a very detailed list of all the projects, and I think she is just as frustrated as I think we as councilors and me as town manager that those projects have not moved forward. In regards to that $85,000, that is for painting the ceiling in the library. The original RFP was done by Kevin Pecos and sat in that town manager's office until I got there. Charlie Blanchard was working with PEG to revitalize the RFP. and he has just provided, he's been working, even though he's not employed with us, helping her, because he's very interested in libraries. He's very involved in the Southbridge Library. So that $85,000 will be used in regards to the payment and the salience when we can get the RFP out. So if we wait, the incentive goes away. I'm good with that. We'll just have to look for different incentives. This had to be submitted by the end of December. So that's why I brought it forward. If the council so chooses to wait, then so be it, and we'll decide whether we can go for green communities grants next year. That's the memo that Peg provided to me.
Councilor Dow.
Thank you, Chair. If we vote yes on that tonight, we can always change it in the future, or we'll be a lock on it. Like if we vote yes and then we check safe energy or green energy, whatever it is, and we found a better solution, will we be able to change?
I would believe not, because this is through this specific program. We could change the funding mechanisms throughout the year, where we get the money from.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But the commitment has to stand, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Councilor Rivas?
I'm just curious, after, if we vote yes, how much would we have left in the capital stabilization account?
There's going to be at least 500,000 in there, half a million.
We hope.
Any other discussion by any of the councils? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? 8-1. Moving on to councilors' forum. Councilor Rivas?
So I don't have too much tonight. I just want to wish everyone out there happy holidays. Anyone that celebrates Hanukkah or Kwanzaa, Feliz Navidad, and Happy New Year to everyone out there. We're moving forward on a lot of different things, and it's great to see some of these things coming up again. The energy aggregation, we had been working on that for a long time, so it was nice to see that come forward and see an update on that today. And I don't have anything else today. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Dow.
Thank you, Chair, through you. Happy New Year's and happy Merry Christmas to everyone. I want to say sorry for your loss, Councilor Martigny.
Thank you.
Councilor Ortiz, happy birthday, and
Thank you.
thank you.
Councilor Zenia.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I just want to wish the community and my working councilors a very happy holiday, and looking forward for a new year to continue the council's progress in moving this community forward. Mike, I'm sorry for your loss of your dad. I knew Gordon, and he was a really good guy. I'll always remember his music and the times that you played with him. And also, Councilor Ortiz, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Hopefully this new year will also bring more outspoken voices from you.
We'll try.
Thank you. That's all.
Councilor Montague.
Me? Okay. Well, first, Councilor Ortiz, Ari, I hope you have a happy birthday. I hope your day was good and you're feeling all right and you have the best freaking night of your life.
Thank you.
To everyone else, the great citizens of Southbridge, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I had the pleasure of spending Saturday celebrating Christmas with lots of my closest friends and the Tortoise side of my family. But yes, after a very long year of many losses of grandmothers, relatives, family, pets, close friends, I did lose my father this Sunday, yesterday. I do appreciate the chairman recognizing that and everybody else. First and foremost, I can't thank everyone enough on the council and the town manager for accommodating me and my family in any way you could during my father's battle with cancer. If you indulge me for just I'll keep it under 3 minutes here. I just wanted to speak a little bit to the citizens, a couple minutes about my father's connection with the community and how it affected me. When the pandemic was ending, he had been living with my stepmother for a couple years. I never really talked about this with you guys, but he was diagnosed back in July 2021 with aggressive rare cancer the minute he told me, I rushed back from Puerto Rico to be here with him, and he had surgery on his leg and actually was cancer-free about 3 months after the surgery, which is when I decided, well, I'm back here, I'm taking care of my dad, rehabilitating, cancer-free, not going back to Puerto Rico, and I might as well take the chance at running for town council, which has always been a dream of mine since I was a small child. But in May of 2022, just a couple days before I put out my signs, the cancer came back, and it was stage 4. I'll condense the next couple of years until right now, but he fought a very, very long, hard battle up until the very last day, last night. And I just want the citizens to understand that without my father getting sick and me devoting my life to taking care of him until the very end, I would not be sitting up here today. From some people's perspectives, some could say that my father, Gordon, fueled a lot of the energy that brings all of us in particular sitting up here tonight. And it might not look exactly the same up here right now if it wasn't for him. And in closing, just as I have many times before in the past, I have returned to Southbridge. I've fallen in love with my hometown of Southbridge again and the citizens as I sit here today. For the first day of my life without my father, I want you to understand that I only remain sitting up here for you, the citizens of Southbridge, because I love this town and the people in this town more than anything else in the world, the best community in the world. And I want you to know that if I do choose to run again for another term in 18 months from now, I want everybody to understand that you and only you are the reason that I would choose to test my luck and run again. One of the traits I inherited from my father is his unconditional loyalty that he gave to all of his friends and family. And to me, you, the people of Southbridge, are my family. And if I'm here in Southbridge, it's because I'm here for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilor Adams?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Mike, our condolences from my family to yours. We've had a lot of conversations here the last 7 months, 8 months, as we've gone through this, the trial and tribulations of a loved one leaving us. So we wish nothing but the best for you and your family here on out. Ari, happy birthday, happy New Year.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas, future birthdays, future, all that kind of stuff. So we'll see you in the new year. Thanks. Oh, by the way, 26th through the 29th, I believe, Southbridge, the Senior Center will be painting the community center. So we'll look forward to it. If you want to help out and volunteer your time, reach out to Katie, who is the director. Thank you.
The birthday boy gets to go next. Councilor Ortiz.
Just want to say Merry Christmas to everyone and Happy New Year. Thank you.
Councilor Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. Councilor Montigny, Linda and I send our condolences to you as well.
Thanks, John. I appreciate it.
And Councilor Ortiz, you're getting older. You have my condolences as well. It's got to get to a point where it won't be fun anymore.
Thank you.
With the indulgence, you're very welcome. With the indulgence of the chair, I'd like to read a statement that I made at Christmas time 5 years ago, and 5 years and 1 day ago. I read this statement, and I'd like to read some excerpts of it tonight. And given the agenda items, it seems to be particularly relevant. Things haven't changed, in other words. So please, if you'll indulge me, let me read this. Again, from 2018. Southbridge is a great town. Let me repeat, Southbridge is a great town. With that in mind, I want to bring to you citizens a quick update on what has been going on for the past 6 months. 6 months ago, in 2018, citizens elected 4 councilors who ran on a pledge to make change. We, as well as the remaining councilors, heard you. The process has begun, but I must advise you that the process of change will produce some fears. Fears such as what the monetary costs will be. Are the changes being made needed, and is due diligence being given to the entire process? Let me assure you that due diligence is, in fact, being given to the process. What does that mean to you? It means that rather than being understaffed, the fire department is now at authorized levels within its budget. The police department is now being staffed at highest levels in years within the budget. These public safety departments offer the finest protection our citizens deserve within budget. The infrastructure in town is being given needed upgrades through the DPW, wastewater treatment plant, and water departments. The library and town hall has needed improvements to the buildings and security systems. We have actively worked with local business to stay in town and have encouraged new businesses to look here. Various departments in Town Hall are working to convert an antiquated software system to a state-of-the-art system to further help track our finances and town accounts. This will give us a better and tighter grasp on where all your dollars are and where they are going. We have been actively involved in monitoring Casella and the landfill and will continue to do so. We have worked with the town manager to produce new, concise, and measurable goals and objectives so he may better serve the town. In short, we have not stood still. Please be advised, however, that some of this change comes with an added cost. It is not a cost that we have glossed over. We have looked at options and chosen the best option, which is cost-effective and gives you the most bang for your dollar. Why are some of these costs needed, you asked? Needed infrastructure work has been delayed for extended periods of time. If you wait to repair your roof and further damage sets in, the roof costs more to repair. We are now making those repairs that have been long delayed. To wait longer or to apply Band-Aids is, I think, financially wrong. We cannot continue to hope and pray that something great will come along and save us. We need to make that happen for ourselves. That is what I ran on, and that is what others have run on, and that is the message this council has heard. I read that statement to you, the citizens of Southbridge, 5 years and 1 day ago. That was a message intended to say that when you elected us, the council, to serve you and the town. 5 years have passed, and the message from me today is remarkably similar. Much has been done by the previous 4 councils and the current council to help Southbridge get onto its feet, and much continues to be done. Public safety and public works infrastructure improvements are our ongoing main focus. We continue to staff critical departments to authorized levels with the intent of providing you, the residents of Southbridge, with the highest levels of professional service, professional care, and professional management. The council has encouraged the town manager to review and evaluate the conduct and structure of all departments in town and in Town Hall so as to further that goal and create an environment in which all Southbridge employees strive to continuously provide and improve their level of service to the citizens, thereby giving to taxpayers amenities worthy of their tax bills. Our business environment also continues to be a focus, and we have in place a revitalized economic development department that strives to show all comers that Southbridge is a good place to open a business or call home. The added costs associated with these actions have been shared by our citizens with the application of millions of dollars worth of grants that have been sought out, applied for, and won, again, through the efforts of employees in town. As we enter this holiday season, I am grateful to you, the citizens, for giving us the time to make these aforementioned changes and to continue to allow us to further improve the town. I said it 5 years ago, and I'll say it again now. My pledge to you is that we will continue to listen to you and your concerns, suggestions, compliments, and complaints. We will continue to work hard for you and do all due diligence as issues arise before the council. We will continue to work to bring positive energy and change for the good of all of Southbridge. All I ask is that we keep working together, that we face the fears of change together, and together we will see a glorious Southbridge. To all of Southbridge's employees, I give a most sincere thank you for your hard work. I look forward to seeing what amazing happenings will occur in 2024 as a result of your continued good work. To council members, employees, and citizens, I wish a very peaceful and relaxing holiday season. Enjoy your times with family and friends, and always remember, Southbridge is a great town. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Daniels. At this time, I'd like to call on the Vice Chairman. It's Christmas, and what he wanted was to speak last, and this is a present from the Chairman.
Thank you, Mr.
Vice
Chairman.
Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I'd just like to say to Councilor Montigny, my condolences.
Thank you.
And to Councilor Ortiz, happy birthday.
Thank you.
My advice to you is don't grow old.
I'll try not to.
And to the residents of Southbridge, I'd just like to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Thank you.
At this time, we'll move on to agenda item number 32, discuss next meeting date. Councilor Marquetti?
The next meeting is Monday, January 8th, 2023 at 7 p.m. Thank you.
Moving on to 33, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Shinya, seconded by Montigny. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous vote present. Very adjourned.